Hey friends, how are we? I have a really exciting sort of video planned now. I'm feeling a lot better. Thank you to antibiotics. I just want to show you first. Look at this adorable like anime-esque jumper. I feel like a present. Look at that. Oh my god, it is so cute. I found it in an op shop and I'm obsessed with it. I'm obsessed with bows in general. I always have some in my hair, around my neck, whatever, and to have a giant bedazzled bow feels pretty apt. Anywhoosie, today I'm going to be using one of these new Rude cosmetic palettes. I love them. They're like the Manga palettes. I'm just going to give you a quick overview of them, so feel free to skip ahead if you're not interested. I'll start with the one that I'm going to be using today. So this one is The Adventures of Rudeko, and it is adorable. This is how the palette looks. On the back they've got a little blurb about the fictional sort of storyline they've created with the palette, which I think is a really nice touch. On the inside you've got the mirror and the shades, and this is how this one looks. It's very dragon mythical anime inspired. You can see there my terrible tripod where I use my partner's books on his desk. This one is Attitude Academia, and that's how that one looks. It's so adorable. Oh my god, I love them, and they all have that blurb. Then this one is First Love Diary. Very, very sweet. I love the cherry blossoms. One of my favorite flowers, trees. And that's how that one looks. Not the most functional mirrors in these, but they get the job done. And this one is Catgirl Chronicles. Personally, I prefer the bunny ears, but each to their own. And this is how this one looks. And it's got like little kitties. This one is one of my favorites. I do plan on doing a look with this that's a little more dramatic, but not for today's outfit. So I have experienced a little bit of fallout with these sort of palettes. I'm actually going to start with my eyes first and then sort of go from there. Just going to be priming with my trusty Nars smudge proof eyeshadow base in light. I'm not ever actually sure if I use enough of this eyeshadow primer. Like, I see girls and videos like use a lot more, and I'm just kind of curious like whether or not I use the right amount, because I don't use as much, but it seems to work fine for me, so I shouldn't be worried. The first shade I'm going to be taking here is Nendo, and I'm going to be popping that in the inner third of my eye. I find with my finger works the best, just to minimize the amount of fallout and the bring up the pigmentation a little bit more. There we are. So now I've placed that on the inner third of my eye. I'm going to be taking the shade Kiboru and popping that in the center of my eyelids. So I've tried 2 of the 3 palettes so far, and I'm already noticing these shades, these ones are a lot softer than the others. In a good way, but I just have to be really gentle with my fingers because I feel like I could break them pretty easily. The next shade I'm going to be taking is Sedai, which I'm going to be popping on the outer third now. So we're sort of working in thirds as for lid colours, because that's how I've sort of envisioned it in my head. Whoa, that's pigmented. Oh, the faces we make when we put on eyeshadow and shut one eye. Fun fact, instead of wasting a bunch of makeup wipes, I actually use my brush cleaner to clean my finger, and I find that just works fine. I just kind of do that, and yeah, save the environment with that one. Now I've got it on, I think I'm just going to touch up the center shade a little bit more to make it a little bit more impactful. You know how vibrant that last color was. It might look a little blocky right now, but that's okay because I'm going to blend, and I promise. And now I've got the 3 colors on. I'm just going to take a fluffy brush and lightly blend over all of it. You know, my thoughts on these fluffy brushes is that it's very easy to blend everything away, but I don't want straight harsh lines because that looks a little silly. And now I'm going to be taking the shade Sun and popping that in my inner half of my crease. It is the most gorgeous yellow shade. I absolutely love it. It's muted, pastel, yet it's still got a bit of vibrancy. Another technique I also use is I stamp on the color with the blending brush and then I blend. Just to make sure I get like a lot of pigment because I like something pretty bold, and you can just do a gentle wash of color with something like this palette. And finally, I'm going to be taking the shade Kin, which is a really pretty tangerine orange color, and popping that in the outer corners with the same brush. I'm just using here a fluffy brush from Essence, but you can use like anything you like. And then with a little pencil brush, I'm just going to be doing the same thing underneath my eyes. So I'm taking Sun first and popping that towards the middle and center, and then taking Kin next in the back. And then I think for a bit of fun, you could always like stop here. I'm going to take Sadai and pop that right in the center of my eyelid. Well, look how intense that is. Oh my gosh, that is crazy. I was not expecting that. Alright, I'm just gonna be very gentle here. This shade, the one I just used, is very dry. It's very much a topper shade. I wouldn't be using that by itself. It doesn't have a lot of color to it. But in saying that, the glitter is really pretty. So that's how the eyes look there. I really like it. I did have a tiny bit of fallout with the Sadai shade underneath my eye, but for the most part, it wasn't too bad. And of course, that glitter shade is bound to come with a bit of fallout, which to be expected, to be honest. And now I'm just gonna throw on my favorite eyeliner, which is the Nars Climax, and I'll be right back. So I was not having a very nice eyeliner day, which is fine. That happens, but here's how we ended up. Overall with the palette, I really liked it. I would say the very dry glitter shade was super glittery, and I somehow ended up with a little bit on my forehead as well, but of course. Otherwise, I really love these palettes. I'd recommend any of them as long as the color story speaks to you and you feel like you could use it, because I think they look incredible. Moving on, time to take my Maybelline the Falsies Lash Lift Mascara and giving my eyes a good coat of them. And this is how the eyes look up close. I'm really happy with how they turned out, and I think this mascara is actually insane, so I really like it. I'm just going to be using I really like coverage today. I'm just using the Covergirl Clean Fair Fresh foundation in Porcelain. I still can't get over that they call this a foundation, because it is such light coverage. I mean, I wouldn't be calling this a foundation, personally speaking. And if you're ever wondering about like brushes or anything, so like things I don't mention often because they are like always sort of repeats, I do make sure I link everything you could want to know sort of below. Just because I think it's nice, and especially if you forget a product while watching someone, you don't really want to have to watch like the whole sort of video again, or like try find the part where they mention it. So it's good to have everything in the one spot. Looking at myself now, I guess actually I want a tiny bit of concealer under my eyes because I have not been sleeping well. So for this, I'm taking the Dior Backstage concealer in Cool Rosy. I really love this concealer a lot. I think it's so awesome. And I also love how brands are finally releasing cool shades of concealer in terms of like, what am I saying, pink shades. Because for the longest time there was cool shades, but not a lot of pink tinted, and I love how now a lot of lines have more pink leaning shades rather than neutral and yellow. Because girls like me with the red-headed gene really appreciate it. And now I'm just going to be taking my powder from Shiseido. This is the Synchro Skin in translucent, on a nice big fluffy brush. For pressed powder, this has a lot of fallout. Doesn't bother me too much. I mean, like, I've never actually finished a powder. It's always expired before I've been able to finish it, but probably because I use so little. But if that is something you're concerned with, you should know that it does have a lot of kickback in the pan, I mean. Personally, I don't really care. And now I'm going to be taking my Flower Beauty bronzer in Heatwave. Sorry, in Sunrise. It's the Heatwave bronzer. I really love this so much. I think it is really pretty. And more better to go with a sunset sort of eyes than a sunburn looking blush. So this is the Givenchy Prisme Libre brush into Taffetas Rose, and it is the most perfect sunburn blush ever. If they ever get rid of it, I will cry. I will absolutely cry a river of tears. But for now, fun. A lot of the things I've noticed I seem to fall in love with when I was talking to my partner about makeup the other day was like, I always fall for like limited edition stuff. Like, I fall in love with a lot of it. A lot of the stuff I have is limited edition, and I hate that because I know like one day like it'll dry out and I won't be able to use it anymore, and then what? Like, I can't repurchase it, and I really hate that so many things I like are limited edition. But then again, even permanent stuff gets discontinued as well, but I guess it's still easier to find online, sort of permanent stuff, because even if it leaves Australia, it might be in another country that I can get shipped here or something, whereas limited edition, the only place you're going to get it is on eBay, and the only price you're going to pay is extreme. I really want to try the new Givenchy like face powder as well, the pink one. It looks really pretty, but I don't know, like that's a lot of money to spend on a face powder, and I already have some that work pretty well. But these blushes are just winning me over. I've never really tried Givenchy before this. I never really saw it worth the money before this, because if I'm going to spend this much money on a blush, I'm going to absolutely love it. But I found it cheaper online, and then I also got it on David. There was a 10% off coupon, so maybe I still am a little bit cheap. Now I'm going to be taking my Dior Backstage Glow Face Palette. I'm going to be taking this shade here, which is a metallic golden peach shade. I really love these pink tone highlights because it doesn't detract too much from my blush. It doesn't like remove it, and I think it just really looks awfully pretty. The other thing is, if I do apply more of a white highlight, which I do often as well, I'll just take my blush brush without any extra on it and just sort of dab over the top, because I do wear my blush pretty high and sometimes it can detract a little more than I would like. But this is worth every penny. I'm in love. A shade for every mood. For lips, I want something with an orange hue to match this sort of sunrise sunset look, and I'm going to be taking Toilet Day from Nars, and it's just a really pretty sort of orangey sort of colour. And there you have it. So this is the finished look. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. I know I sure did trying out these things. I love the palettes so much, so if I recommend anything from this video, I highly recommend the palettes. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye!